You are now looking at another morning overlooking the beach from our Casa del Mar apartment. What's up, y'all? It's David Connor Bach back for another episode of GT Bach, GT Adventures Edition Houston, Texas trip. Today it is Monday, October 10th of 2022. Yesterday was probably one of our best days, but you never know what's going on today. Today we are going to do the Space Center, and then tomorrow we are doing the zoo, and then it appears that Wednesday is going to be rainy, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. We are almost to the Space Center, y'all.
Head north on 2nd Street.
That's the original space shuttle that connects to a 747, and the 747 would actually fly the space shuttle up to where outer space is, and then the space shuttle.
In 600 feet, turn right.
This is the space shuttle,
Head west.
and the 747 actually flies the space shuttle from one or two locations in the NASA system. It flies it from Florida to California. Very big. Let's not forget to appreciate the massive size of this gorgeous airplane. It is just gorgeous. It's a new exhibit. It's hard to see the flag, but it's for NASA and the Space Center itself. Oh. That doesn't look like NASA, does it? Let me know in the comments below. This is one of the Apollos that were used in the lunar missions. And then up there is a model of the new International Space Station as well. Hello, Chris.
They got out, and then they come back in.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm trying to spin it as fast as possible without hitting the top. That's basically my objective for now. Now it's going back the other way. It's trying. There we go. This is some information about the Apollo. It's really hard to see, but you can see the tip of a rocket style model But over here you can see it a little bit better along with the stars. This is the concept of what the rockets use when taking off, the Goddard's liquid fuel rocket. And the first one was actually launched in 1926. This over here is some of the cockpit for the Apollo. You can see some of the many controls that are up there, along with a picture of what looks like the moon as well. Looks like some kind of periscope. This is a model of one of the lunar modules, it looks like, or could be the Apollo. I'm not quite sure. However, there is a sign coming up that will tell you a little bit about that. So it looks like this is the Phase 7 Mercury 9 spacecraft, which was flown in 1963. This is some information about the Omega watches, and we'll show you that here in a sec. These are some very, very cool watches. And that's really something I'm into, is watches too, so that really made me fascinated with that. These are just some of the different missions that they have done throughout the time of space exploration in the United States.
And this tells you who was in each one and about the astronauts. This one was the first one to go orbit Earth. This is Gemini 3. 4 was the first space. Christopher.
So the Gemini 4 is the mission that's very important, because this is the first time someone is ever outside of the capsule while in space. And this was in 1965. This is one of the bags that would house one of the parachutes used during a splashdown. It's hard to see though. These are some of the medals that astronauts would receive. It's very nice. This is the NASA logo. So this is a couple of photos of women's rights when they were fighting for women were fighting to become the first astronauts. The first to become part of the teams that go into space, I should say.
Several complicated rendezvous maneuvers and preparation. So one was the disaster one, and then it took 7, 8, 9, 10 before they got to move. Now, think about this. With crew, Artemis 3 is going to land on the moon.
This is the famous quote from Apollo 11. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
They have problems. Apollo 12 made it to the moon and landed. Pete Conrad landed on it. They didn't do
This
it
is
They actually
the
had
checklist
18, 19, and 20.
that
They had a
would
but they stopped.
be given step by step as everyone prepared to go onto the lunar surface. This is a picture of when they were on the moon. Very, very cool. Yep. Over here is a model of someone doing space exploration. You can see someone drilling a hole. This is one of the vehicles they used to travel quickly across the surface of the moon. You can see there's Earth in the background. This is one of the sides of the Apollo. I'm not sure which Apollo, but it's one of the command centers of the mission where they would be on board going up to space. This is me touching the surface of the moon, at least a small piece of it. It's very, very nice. It's nice and smooth. It's not too hard like I thought the moon would be. This is a model of what one of the labs would look like, where they would study the soils and all the different rocks and metals. Fun fact is I'm actually learning about that kind of stuff, metal, in my chemistry class back at school. This is a very, very old set of equipment, which is used as some of the original countdown and controls for mission center back on Earth. Here's some. This is the information about this control panel right here. It's very, very old looking too. This is a fuel injector that may be in one of the engines of a particular spacecraft. Information below so you can read it. These are one of the models of the ASTP, which is the Apollo command module connected to the Soyuz spacecraft down here. These are one of the world's first calculators, and it's actually very impressive that they had that back in the day. Especially those who are in math classes and other kind of classes that require math, who would have made it easier without the calculator. This is the back end of the space shuttle. Very amazing. You can see there's the United States flag. So this is where they prepare before they get into the spacecraft. This is Chris in the white room of the spacecraft preparation zone. This whole metal bar is what actually connects to the orbiter, and those would actually turn away from the spacecraft when it's at takeoff. And it's 65 feet long technically, but obviously it's shorter because it's at a visitor center. These are some of the telephones that you actually have to call people, including mission control, or you never know if they actually call. This is a sign about the telephones. So they had direct lines to the control, mission control, launch control. So that's what it is actually. These are some of the uniforms that you would wear. It's very cool. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to actually go inside a replica of the space shuttle. Here we go.
Commander, there's a pilot, they all have different jobs. Computerized. Person didn't touch me, do nothing. The only thing they did was sit back and relax and enjoy the flight.
Look at that massive wing. These are some of the lockers that have all the stuff that astronauts bring on board with them. Over here is some other controls. This is how everyone would use the bathroom in space. Sorry.
Been to my office, I've taught him stuff. So they're out here, but he's probably in your place. My wife lives here, he lives in Queens. Oh, okay. So they're kind of photography going,
Just huge. Almost reaches the top of the cap. Now we're about to go into the plane. This is when the space shuttle was parachuting while landing. Very capturing moment. Space shuttle on the 747 that we're in right now, flying over some form of desert. Either Nevada, New Mexico, California, Arizona, who knows?
Who dreamed up this remarkable partnership of an airplane and an orbiter? Whose imagination solved
Looks like there's some kind of propeller on one side. Well, there's a jet on the other side. This airplane probably wouldn't have survived without reinforcements. Here's why. You can see. Now, compare this. That was stronger. You can actually see some of the reinforcements that are in this aircraft. So, you can tell it's really strong. Otherwise, it probably would have collapsed. So this is the dial. This is a control that moves it side to side, and that's how it moves from side to side. Is that good, yo? This down here is the cargo deck, which has a grate over it to protect from glass. Some of the banners that tell us about some of the numbers by the numbers of this particular aircraft.
I think they have that downstairs in the gift shop.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
If we could, if there's like a package, I would get it.
Black. On his face. And his nose.
David, seriously?
Okay.
However, the public are just interested with the program in the years following. People thought the program should end since America won the space race. However, the last Apollo mission, Apollo 17, flew in 19 capsule, so astronauts could travel farther distances.
This is a ceiling hung model of the moon. Very cool, actually. And over here is an engine which would be on the rockets. Very cool.
This is the Apollo that landed on the moon.
Okay.
It had 3 people, was capable of moon orbit, landing, re-entry, was in the re-entry was in the water, could interface with a bunch of stuff, power with fuel cells. This is a shuttle. It crewed 5 to 7 Earth orbit, landed on the runway. It did not have engines landing on the runway. That's why it had that chute coming out afterwards.
And this is the Orion. It's a size of 4 to 6. It can do more moon orbit and even more.
Get up.
Like all of you, you still understand, and on the top of the jug. Remember, safety is the #1 rule in science, because if you're not safe, how are you going to share discoveries with everyone else later? Alright, so once that's done, then and only then, do we seal the jug, and then shake it for all it's worth. Now this combines the oxygen and fuel together, so when we add heat in just a moment, it'll create even bigger explosion of combustion. Next we put on our handy fire safety glove, fire extinguisher. We light our match, and just as a warning, this may be loud.
Oh man.
Alright, there we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
Lift off. All that energy rushing out the top of the jug. So, if you're going to flip it upside down, and all that energy is pushing downwards towards the ground, it'll make the jug go.
Ah.
The rocket scientists over there, I see. Pretty good, pretty good. Now, even if we were to do this again, nothing would happen, because remember, you need all 3 ingredients for combustion to happen, and all the oxygen has been burned out of this jug. So, even though you can see fuel moving around in there. Without oxygen, you're not going to get any sort of reaction. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Oh, wait a minute, Dylan. Then how do rockets work in space? There's no oxygen in space. And you're right. There is no oxygen in space. Which is exactly why, when we send our rockets into space, they are sent with two separate tanks. One filled with liquid fuel, and the other filled with liquid oxygen. That way they can make combustion happen even in the vast vacuum of space. What you're seeing on the screen there is our brand new SLS rocket that NASA has made for return to the moon in the year 2025 with the Artemis program. Now, I want to thank you all for coming today. And I've been told it's important to end every show with a bang. And since I began the show by popping a balloon, it only makes sense to end it that way. But this isn't an ordinary balloon filled with air from my lungs, nor is it filled with helium. Helium is a non-combustible gas, meaning it will not burn. Great for birthday parties, not so great for big finales. Is filled with hydrogen.
Ooh.
A highly combustible gas. So, you may want to take my advice when I say, you're probably going to want to cover your ears.
Oh no.
I want to thank you all for coming today and learning what makes things go up.
Whoa!
And I hope the rest of your day is out of this world at Space Energy.
This looks like some kind of a helmet and part of the uniform spacesuits that astronauts would wear. It's a Collins Engineering, which is one of the best, as far as I know. Over here is a future. This is us going directly under the moon. This is a model of what the astronauts would look like, including the ones for the new SpaceX suits that they wore on the flight in SpaceX. This is one of the older style NASA spacesuits as well. One of the older designs. This is what the cargo bay of Space Shuttle Discovery looks like. You can see there's some equipment inside. This over here may be the solar panels that you would see on the International Space Station. And it's pretty cool to see it up close. Down here seems like part of the truss structure that would be one of the support structures for the entire station to keep it from collapsing. And it says that each solar power station has batteries that would provide electricity when the solar panels are not actually in the direct line of sun. And they also had radiators as well that would remove heat from the station. So it's kind of like the condenser of an air conditioner that you would find in a home. This is a closer view of the International Space Station. This is a view of the facade with the beautiful painting for the NASA Space Center in Houston. Well, y'all, it's been an amazing day here at the Houston Space Station. It wasn't as fun as yesterday, but it was still beautiful learning about the history of how space exploration came to be. And I can't believe it dated back to the 60s. That was just mind-blowing. The cool part was we got to see behind the scenes of the ignition control building. It was very awesome. Tomorrow we are going to the zoo, so stay tuned. This concludes the video for day 3 of our Houston, Texas trip for the GT Box GT Adventures. Peace.